Hey there, Maureen Chiana here, founder of the Mindsight Academy, neuro coach to executives, leaders, entrepreneurs, and a neuro leadership trainer. And I use insights from neuroscience to help you flourish and exceed expectations. Welcome back to another episode of Lead to Excel podcast. And I'm extremely excited today because I've got a special guest with us, Charlotte. Charlotte Blignaut is going to introduce herself in a second, but we're going to be talking about the hidden genius. So if you haven't subscribed to this podcast, remember to do so. And without wasting any more time, let's get into this podcast. So Charlotte, I am so excited to have you with us today. So can you please introduce yourself briefly to our listeners?
To all your listeners out there, it is an honor to be having this conversation with Maureen and all of you today. My name is Charlotte Blignaut. I'm based in sunny South Africa and the southernmost tip of Africa, for those of you who don't know where it is. And Maureen and I have collaborated in a space of where we complement each other's services during COVID. So we've pivoted and collaborated in that space. And we're going to talk a little bit about that to you shortly.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Charlotte. It's so true the way we kind of met each other during COVID and clicked so instantly. And I think what really got me really interested in what you do is the similarity in what we do in terms of the brain. And when I saw that whole hidden genius, it really resonated with me. So could you just explain what the hidden genius is?
Maureen, for many years, and I think for many generations, and maybe even the last century or two, who knows how far back it goes, but many voices have been shut down. And the voice within each of us is the voice, it's the voice that knew how to crawl, it's the voice that knew how to walk. And as adults, our life gets in the way, our conditioning shapes us, our cultures shape us, and our experiences shape us. And in that space, because everything happens on the outside, our inner space is left a little bit and neglected largely to a small degree. And we often choose to not listen to the inner voice anymore and instead be directed from the outside, and necessarily so for life to happen. So the hidden genius full potential tool is a way for everyone to access the hidden genius, access that voice within, and to deal with the most common topics which come up when an obstacle comes into their path, when they stop believing in themselves again, when they need to build confidence, that when like COVID came and went like this and stopped our lives in so many ways. So when an obstacle comes across our paths, from your training, I mean, I have participated and watched some of your training, which is why I immediately was drawn to how we complement each other and speak a different language and a different approach, but it all adds up because every bit has got its place. So the genius voice is the one which already instinctively knows the answers, already goes into the brain and finds what it needs, and accesses now listening to that voice of heart within every single one of us, which makes us authentic and unique. And it's not where we compete. It's a place where we step into our full power, step into our full potential. Have I answered your question?
Yes, you have actually, and it raised more questions for me in a way. So how can we listen to that inner voice?
Well, how you can listen to the voice is relearning how to think. Relearning how to think. Relearning how to think in that space. And I've created a program underneath the Hidden Genius tool. I actually created a huge big project, which is how to build communities in a way that support each other with coaching style conversations. And from that, I developed a program on teaching people how to relearn how to think, because that's what I had to learn to do in my brain and in my body. And from that, the Hidden Genius tool, so I'll show you, the Hidden Genius tool popped up as the tip of the iceberg. So listening to it is a process. It's not an overnight, I mean, you've got a whole lifetime of experience. It's not an overnight fix. It's not something that's going to happen and tomorrow morning it's no pop culture thinking in this space is unacceptable because it's not going to happen quickly. Those neural pathways in the brain have to be shaped again in a way that you start listening to the rest of you, not just the mind. So we listen to the mind with what we know. We access it like a library. So the process to access your genius is a process, and it takes about 90 days to change, create new habits, 40 days to change a habit, and 90 days to set a new habit in its place, which is why each of the genius tools is 108 days. So that it consistently every single day will give you a different access to that same inner genius voice. And everyone is different. So we need to find a way to honor that versus being prescriptive in that space.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. In fact, because one of the things I talk about a lot is the importance of learning how to rewire your brain. And I think that's why I got so, really fascinated by this product you've created. So could you just go a bit more into how it actually works? So for example, when you use the hidden genius, they're cards, and they use it, they use it in the form of coaching. So can you just explain how it works, how it would actually help someone hear that inner voice and start changing that inner voice?
That's like asking me, how do I learn to swim? We learn to swim because we go for lessons and we build up our confidence. We build trust in our ability. We have a teacher that teaches us how to swim. We know what style of swimming we're going to maybe excel at or what we'd like to do. And then we finally jump into the water. So what the Hidden Genius tool does is access the part of us that longs to get into the water, the part of us that sees the vision of what we want as an outcome. And each genius that we have here, each genius nugget, if I can call them nuggets, we call them nuggets, has a specific coaching process to it. So how we've matched the pop trends in this space is by making sure the whole process is going to take you less than between 30 seconds and 5 minutes, absolute max, every single day. So we've created that opportunity for you on an online platform now, not just here, where you can get access to, and I know you've got a link to it for it as well, for your clients to access through you, where once you've worked with them as a coach and you see where they keep getting that question of, I'm stuck, and where to now? I don't know what to do. Every coach has that happen. And we all as coaches have clients who maybe can't afford our services just yet. So this is a lovely way to start stepping into the space of being coached, but self-coaching. So it's on an online platform now where you will get presented at random with one of these based on a topic where your most common challenges. It could be conflict, it could be relationship building, it could be transformational thinking, woman empowerment, everything. Every topic has got a different approach to it. And every person's genius would hear what the nuggets tell them and speak to them in a different way, which is what makes them so unique and as a world first. So your training, as an example, Maureen, is a beautiful education for people to understand the reality of what this does. And I think that in the space of answering your question, it will probably be more appropriate for you to explain to our listeners how the brain can rewire, and then they will understand why we've got 108 days, because in your training and in all your webinars that you present, you speak to the fact of what's possible in the mind, and yet our brain, and yet our minds get in the way. So the tool, everyone is different. Every process is different because each topic is different. I mean, transforming fear to trust is a different one. Transforming anger to freedom is another one. The evolved man exists. Every single one of them has got a different process behind them. And the person who's attracted to the topic, it's because that's where they generally are, their conflict, their situations, their challenges that show up, the obstacles in their life, and how they show up. So it's important for people to understand when they've gone through your training that, or if they maybe can't afford to just step into a coaching arrangement with you, is to understand that they can start gently, because this process is very gentle and there's nobody standing over your shoulder with a big stick. It's your process, your minute or two a day commitment to yourself, and we feed them to you on the platform so that you don't have to worry about going to find them. You can actually just step into the platform, choose a topic, and keep going every single day. And it's a gentle space of rewiring the brain according to the process and the knowledge that you've already shared with them. It's gently understanding that your thinking will gradually change. COVID came like this huge big in the road, this big tree that fell across the road. That's what COVID did for many people. And if they weren't working online, they got a big fright. That connectedness, they really got a big fright in that space. And to your training, when you speak to the different ways the brain responds in the space of challenges like that, then they understand that it's just a tree across the path. The path still carries on. So, and as to your topic and your expertise, is that the brain can rewire itself, and doing it doesn't have to be a very big step. It can be one tiny step at a time until you feel that confidence. When you see that yourself swimming, you can actually see yourself jumping into the pool. Because why? Because you've learned with your training as an example, you've learned that you can swim. If other people can swim and change their minds, so can you. But it's that inner voice that holds us back. It doesn't matter how much training you can do, but if you don't believe that you can actually jump into that water and you can learn to swim, you never will. So gently, we speak to that voice. Gently, we encourage the voice until you're ready to say, hey, Maureen, I want to do that training. I want you to coach me. I'm now ready to jump into the pool because I can see what I want and I can feel it, you know?
So basically, what these nuggets do is really help people kind of keep repeating the process till the brain is rewired. Is that how it works?
The same principle, yes, as neuroplasticity, is that it's the repetition of the process. The nugget every single day is totally different. So you will be prompted in a different way to think about it. So at the same time, we're shifting the mind from a fixed mindset to a more growth mindset, where the mind starts thinking with more possibility versus only one way. You know,
Okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna pick you
yeah.
up there because you've brought in an interesting aspect, which is the fixed mindset and growth mindset. What is a fixed mindset?
So a fixed mindset is when somebody believes they are going to be a doctor and they're going to be a doctor for the rest of their life. They believe that they can only ever drive on the left-hand side of the road. They believe that there's only one way to bake a cake. It's a process. It's a beginning to an end, and they feel they've learned that that is the only way. So when that tree falls across their path, they're stuck. They are like, freeze, fight, run. We know that. So the growth mindset is someone who looks at the tree and says, oh my word, how shall I chop this tree up? How shall I jump over it? Shall I walk around it? And what is the tree teaching me? So the growth mindset is a mindset that looks for possibility and opportunity in any obstacle. AKA, ask any entrepreneur who's been around the block. They will tell you that they live with opportunity and possibility. I mean, I personally have been accused of being a Pollyanna, someone who's always looking for the bright side, always looking for the silver lining. But that's growth mindset. It's a mindset where you see more than the reality of the tree falling across your path. So you can look at it like this and say, that's it. That's it. The tree's falling across my path, turn around, go home. But it's not the case because the tree is there for a reason. You can let the tree rule or you can decide your own path. Does
Awesome.
that
Thank you so
answer?
much. That's really fantastic because growth mindset is something that I am so passionate about because once you believe, and it all comes down to the belief, isn't it? Once you believe that there's a possibility, then that's the way your brain will be wired to enable you see the opportunities. So we're almost at the end now. And what is the one thing you're going to tell coaches or people that really want to use these nuggets? Because my understanding is that you can use this as a coach with your coaches, or you can also use it as an individual who wants to kind of change those voices in the head, those fixed mindset voices or those self-talks that are not being helpful. So what is the one thing you tell people so that they know where to find this and what to do?
So I'm going to add something else to that. There's a third aspect to that. The third aspect is that as a team, you often get stuck as a team on a problem statement. So there's a third way that you can use the nuggets with teams. But over and above that, how you would access this, how you would step into the space of your genius nugget, how you would accept it and finding that voice of belief is find the person that you resonate with, the coach that you resonate with, the coach that speaks to you. And if you're nervous about it, ask them to support you in the space. You can self-coach. You can access any one of the topics on the platform. I think six of the 17 topics are live on the platform. You can start getting used to your voice. You can start hearing that confidence coming through because the more you see the actions that you take based on the daily nugget that comes, the more you build your confidence. the more that repetition in the brain happens, and then you're ready. Then you're ready. So anybody could use it as a coach. You could use it with your clients who maybe don't want to unpack too much of a story, and they just want to, they're still in a private space with you, and they just don't have time for a full hour or 2 hour session, and they really just want a 15-minute session with you as a coach. It's a very easy way to work with them and help them prompt their thinking outside of what they come into the room with. You know, the story that comes into the room. And so we know what the story is. Unpacking the story might not get us forward if we only want to move forward in 15 minutes. So the nugget helps you in that space. Have I answered your question? I'm not sure if I have.
Yeah, no, you have. That's fantastic, because I think that's the key, knowing that it's something that can help. And it really, the way I understand it is that it actually helps get beneath the surface of the brain to really find out what the person is thinking, because a lot of times people are not aware of what they're thinking. They're not aware of what drives their behavior. So from my research on the product and what you've just said, it would really help coaches or people understand what that thought process is. Then you know what needs rewiring. Then you can then start the process of actually doing it. But it starts with that belief that you can change, which is the growth mindset. So
And
thank you. Yeah, go
Maureen,
on.
you are a specialist in emotional intelligence training. So the
Mm,
tool also works in that space because
yeah.
that's where the voice comes from, is that emotional intelligence. So the tool takes the fixed mindset that we might have, because we all need a bit of fixed mindset. We need structure. You know, it's that we need that little bit of structure to be able to follow a process. It pushes you into a growth mindset. Your emotions feed that response in the moment to the nugget and the actions you're going to take. So it honors you at a self mastery to a whole different level, a whole different depth. So understanding your emotional intelligence training is essential for anyone who would like to understand more about how it works, because the two work beautifully together. You know, once you've
Mm.
learned to identify your emotions and not negate them, you can step into the space of where your emotions feed your hidden voice, that hidden genius, and then you have absolute success.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Because one of the things that we do in the emotional intelligence training, the first step is the self-awareness. And we look at the brain, and actually looking at what you tell yourself, what stories are you telling yourself. So I think that's a really good place to use something like this to really get that thought going, to just really start being reflective of what you're thinking. So thank you very much, Charlotte. So can you tell our viewers can you tell our listeners where they'll find you? You know, your
You can
website or any other place that they will be able to find you or reach you easily.
Thank you. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Twitter and on Facebook at Charlotte D. Blignaut. And of course, if you would like to get the link to your Hidden Genius tool, you can get it from Maureen. I'm sure she's going to post it in the comments and share it with you afterwards. That is where you can find me. Look for Charlotte D. Blignaut. And on Instagram and on Twitter, I'm known as the Muse, Charlotte D. the Muse, because embodied learning is my niche. So I often post things a little bit out the box, including about belly dancing
Oh, wow.
and
That's a
yoga
new one.
and yoga and yoga. We are whole. We are all whole. We've all got a whole body. And I love that. So I'm quite outspoken out there on social media. And I look forward to engaging with everyone who has any questions to ask me.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Maureen.
much. So yes, I'm going to put the link below. So if anyone wants to get in touch and just explore what this is, it's really a fantastic tool. I'll put the link below and you can reach Charlotte. So Charlotte, thank you once again for coming to the Lead to Excel podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.